Allow me to reiterate what I said last week when I was talking about the fact that Egghead Island might be on course to having one of the greatest introductions to any One Piece arc. If this week's chapter didn't solidify and confirm that statement, that Knuckles approved, you know what I mean? Yo, like, dude. This week's chapter, we thought the lore piece greatness was at its just apex in chapter 1065. With the final panel and how that changed the game. 1066 took that pass from 1065 and it was like Kobe to Shaq, son. Just, Brian, just Shaq. And he ran down court. Woo! I mean, yo. This week's chapter of the best-selling manga in history, man. We're going to talk about it. We've got a lot of comments this week. I have 2 reactions that I want to do as well in this video. Everything's going to be timestamped, of course, just like last week's Afterthoughts, just in case you want to skip to one particular section, you most certainly can. But before we get into the reaction videos for this week, y'all have to see this edit, man. So if you have not watched the reaction to the stream yet, or to chapter 1066 yet, within the reaction, when I saw Vegapunk for the first time, like, and this is before we saw what he actually looked like. When I saw his mustache, I was like, yo, I'm calling me Dr.Reconpunk. He's got the Recon stash. I'm loving what I'm seeing. And I was like, yo, Vegapunk and I are on the same wavelength, the same energy. And then when I turned the page, I was like, no, I take it back. I take it back, right? And so this legendary individual actually edited me into Vegapunk. Look at how grotesque this looks, man. It's like, yo, I love it. Thank you so much, Sibo, for creating this. I shared this with all of my friends that are caught up to the series. I was like, yo, y'all gotta see this, man. Y'all gotta see this, bro. And it was a great edit, man. So much appreciated. That was definitely the comment of the week this week, man. When I saw this, I was crying. I was like, yo, no, this is too much. Their community's too special. It's way too special. But ladies and gentlemen, this is the chapter 1066 Afterthoughts. Of course, amazing chapter this week. This is one of those, Oda's back! You know what I'm saying? One of those chapters that when Oda's just cooking on unforeseen levels. And it's amazing because, yo, y'all think it's just me saying this. Oda himself, within the author comments this week, stated that he bought a new grill, and that new grill is to contain the greatness that we're about to get here in this final saga, man. And so, before we talk about it, like I said, we've got a lot of awesome comments to go over, but before that, 2 reactions, man. So the first one is going to be a reaction to the latest One Piece Odyssey trailer, which apparently covers Water 7, so that confirms we're not just going to Alabasta. Also within the memory realm, we're also going to be visiting Water 7. And within the gameplay trailer, we got to see that Alabasta was highly explorable. You got to do side quests there, a bunch of different things within Alubarna, and I was like, wow, this looks incredible, right? Like, I love it. As a massive fan of turn-based JRPGs, I was like, yo, inject it. But now that we're going to Water 7 too, to be able to explore Water 7, so I was like, no, I gotta react to this. I gotta react to this trailer. So, here we go, especially with context from this week's chapter, obviously elevating the material within Eni's lobby. I was like, hold on, man, let me react to this. So, One Piece Odyssey Water 7 trailer, PS5, PS4. Let's get right into it in 3, 2, 1, let's jam. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Robert D! Robbie D! So Usopp looks like he disappears. Rematch. Oh, Lucci doesn't want to see the go with the coat right now, man. Dog, look at Water 7! We get to explore all of this, man! Oh, I'm gonna love this. As somebody who really loves this island and this arc, obviously. Cranky, Aokiji, CB9. Ah, yo, this is gonna be so goat. The sea train. So Lucci's stronger than before. And he's lobby. Ashura. I'm gonna. You talk to him, Robin. So. I want to live. Oh, that's about to be a legendary scene in the game, man. Oh, this is gonna be so big. Even the final scene. Does the Mary show up too? Oh, look at that amazing cover art for it as well. Usopp, Robin. Oh, man. Sogeking. Shoot down that flag. It's like perfect timing for this, right? With the most recent chapter. And also my boy AJ, shout out to Alexander, who's currently reacting to Eni's Lobby over on Twitch. And so it's just the perfect culmination of all of this greatness released at the same time about, our beloved Water 7 Eni's Lobby Saga. So cannot wait to play that within the game. The art in the background reminds me a lot of the way that the Trails games cover like flashbacks and that type of like ancient script-like writing in the background, except it's drawn in that type in like a paint type of style and within a piece of paper like that, and the way it's showcased just so cool. I love that. I love when flashbacks take a different artistic approach to like differentiate the present and the past, and I love that type of stuff. So I can't wait. And that makes me wonder, like, okay, so now we have Alabasta, obviously, Water 7. Skypiea would be a wonderful JRPG place to just go out and explore, but if they're going to do just the major arcs, I'm going to assume that after this, right, Marineford is going to be a major one, or Sabaody and Marineford. And then I wonder after that, do we also go to Dressrosa, another major arc? I know that they started working on this game during Whole Cake, but are they also going to have Wano? I would not be surprised. And if they do have Wano, are they going to have Wano goatness? You know what I mean? I mean, Jinbei's not a part of the crew in the game, so it makes me believe that he's not. So does the game stop at Whole Cake? I wonder. I wonder in regards to just the memories, like going back and for the memories. So the next reaction video I have here is one I've been wanting to watch for a while, and I decided to wait until I watched it on screen because this is from Film Red. They released this before Film Red dropped, but apparently it is an original animation for Where the Wind Blows, which is one of my favorite songs from Uta. No doubt. The moment I first heard this in the anime, what was that, like episode 1030? I was blown away. Or I think it was 1029. I was blown away. And then I was blown away once again when I heard it within Film Red. So we are here with an original animation. I'm going to see how I do this in regards to the copyright. It might just be the visuals with like a few bits and pieces of audio, but we'll figure it out. But I wanted to watch this on the channel. So let's get right into it in 3, 2, 1. Let's jam. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I love this song, man. Oh, interesting. So there's two people. One with red hair, one with white hair. Oh, right there. It shows like half red, half white. Dog, this song goes so hard, bro. Go. This is that goatness, dude. So, is this supposed to represent like two different versions of Uta? Like both sides of Uta? Man. The direction of this is just crazy, bro. Visually. So obviously the song is a banger. But to have this accompany the song. That was a Kagura shot from Gintama right there. Wow, dude. Feels like I'm watching a whole anime right here. Oh, I love this part. Now there's no one in the room. Wow. No, you can't tell me that shot right there was not from like one of those anime movies, dude. Even if I disappear, my song will string it. Oh man, that hits so different. And now we're seeing it from the white-haired one's perspective. Or from the red-haired one looking at the white-haired one. Oh, and it even starts off on the other side of it. Wait. Because when it started, the piano... See, so it starts off and it shows somebody with red and white hair. Then it shows the white hair. And then it starts off on this side, but the one that's playing is the one with red hair. And then when it ends, the one with white... Aw, dude. So it was both of them. Wow, man. So both of them are Uta. Nah, dude, this was special, man. I loved it. It was like a mini movie. It was like one of those short films. Remind me of the storytelling you would normally see in like those great music videos. But just animated here, and of course the visual direction was just out of this world. Oh, I love this, man. This definitely be rewatched. I the attention to detail. Uta, great. I love this song, man. So, awesome stuff, man. See, now I'm glad I waited to watch this on camera. But yo, we'll be back, and when we do, it is time to talk about this incredible chapter. The Will of Ohara, man. It is time to read y'all's wonderful comments. I wonder how many I'm going to be able to get to this week, because there's a lot to talk about, man. So first and foremost, we're going to start off right here with the members. Shout out to my dog, Recon, who comes up in there like swimwear and says, "Yo, coach, look up what an Einstein cross is. Trust me. An Einstein cross is a gravitational lensed quasar, a spinning black hole. The gravitational lensing part means these objects bend space and time," which is such an interesting part. of what was stated at the end of the chapter, which could be referencing what Vegapunk said in this chapter. Exactly. The mind-blowing thing is that it looks exactly like the world government symbol. Shout out to one of Randy Troy's super chats for mentioning the name. Shout out to my dog Randy. I love space, and I realized right away how this connects to the chapter. So Recon giving us some homework right here. So I have it pulled up, the Einstein cross, and when you, I recommend all of you to go search it up. If not, I might pull up a picture right here. As a matter of fact, let me save this just to make sure I have this for reference whenever I'm in the editing stage. So we have the Einstein cross right here, and what he's saying is absolutely right. This most certainly does look like the world government cross, and this is so interesting. The fact that it is just like the world government's symbol, with the four, not only just the world government symbol, but also, the X marks the spot, or, the way in which the red line, connects all of like the North blue, the West blue, the South blue, and whatnot, right? Like it looks like it represents One Piece, and I think that's so cool. So cool. But above all of that, the symbol itself looks very, very reminiscent to that of the WG. And that's just interesting. So let me go ahead and read off what it says on Wikipedia. It says, the Einstein cross is a gravitational lens quasar that sits directly behind the center of the galaxy, called Hutra's lens. 4 images of the same distant quasar appear in the middle of the foreground galaxy due to the strong gravitational lensing. The system was discovered by John Hutra and co-workers in 1985, although at the time they only detected that there was a quasar behind a galaxy based on differing red shifts and did not resolve the 4 separate images of the quasar. While gravitational lens light sources are often shaped into an Einstein ring due to the elongated shape of the lensing galaxy and the quasar being off-center, the images from a peculiar cross shape instead. And so I'm so interested on seeing how Oda ties this in, right, to the series itself, to One Piece. But it's just so cool to me that this reference is clear as day, like you said, with not only Vegapunk stating this at the end of the chapter, but now we see that it has a literal symbol connection to the WG's flag, and I just find that to be so interesting, man. So Recon, thank you so much for sharing that, because that's so cool. And I wonder, how are we going to bend space, and are we going to see space and time being bent, right? Like reality itself being warped within this arc. And I wonder in what capacity would that be? You know what I mean? But interesting. Very, very interesting stuff there, Recon. And if you have even more to add, like that was just base surface level Wikipedia. If you have another thing to add on top of that, as to like a potential connection that you may have, please share that with me as well in the comment section of this video. I would love to read about that. So shout out to Recon, because man, that Einstein cross thing is crazy. It is crazy, dude. So next comment, we got my boy Michael B. Mickles coming in, who says, if you haven't realized it yet, it was the Germa siblings and Caesar in the air in the cover page. I did not realize that. So thank you for that, because I was like, what in the world are those things that are flying? So Germa siblings and Caesar. I'm actually not 100% convinced that Aokiji let Saul live on purpose. So this is in reference to what we were saying in the stream, where we were praising Aokiji greatness, because we were like, yo, Aokiji let his friend live. But Michael Mickles is coming in from a different perspective and stating, what about if he didn't let Saul live on purpose? And what actually happened here is that he could have been freed by the fire from the Buster Call, which is also what left the burn scars. And I was talking about the man marked by flames, which would definitely connect the two. Lastly, it seems that all of Vegapunk's other bodies have a portion of his brain, which is why his head shrunk to normal size and why they have different pieces of personality. Exactly. And that's so cool to me, the fact that Oda's exploring the concept of somebody who has a brain that's so large, they had to split it into 6 different bodies just to have a normal brain. And even then, he has like the Isaac Newton thing there. I was like, it's crazy. It's so cool. And I love the idea, love the concept. But going back to your comment on Saul being potentially freed by the fire from the Buster Call, which is what left the burn scars, I love that. I love that, because that just goes to show that and of course we're not going to find out until we actually see Saul, right, in the present day. But when we do get there and we see those burn markings and we get his side of the story, we're gonna come to understand exactly how it was that he was freed, because we know that there's a way of freeing them. We saw it with Aokiji and Robin and the rest of the Straw Hats in the end of the Day Back fight arc, because if not, they would have died, right? So there was a way to thaw them out. So if he was thawed out by the flames of the Buster Call, then that would mean that the consequences, that it's their fault. It's their fault that all this stuff happened in the way that it did. Because if the Gorosei did not call for the execution of Clover, and then if the Buster Call was never initiated, Saul would still be frozen, and Dragon would have never established the Revolutionary Army. So it's coming back to bite them right where the sun doesn't shine, because it's their fault. It's their fault. So I love that. I love the fact that the Buster Call, even though it took away so many lives, it took away the future of so many of these, it was what allowed Saul to live. And I think that if we explore it from that perspective, I think that would be an incredible reveal. So I'm going to hang my hat on that, Michael Nichols. I love the comment. Love the comment. Absolutely love it. So next comment comes in from, thank you very much for that, Recon and Michael. Next comment comes in from Subra. Shout out to Subra. Says, hello, Recon. Have an awesome day. Already off to a great start. We're recording this on Saturday morning. Tonight is the Nika episode. I can't wait. I'm going to do a double to last week's episode and this week's episode, which I'm sure is going to cover the Nika greatness. So I'm so excited to react to it. So we're already off to a good start. Some ideas I have that I'm going to share like every week. Hope you enjoy. Many people ignoring it almost. What do you think Shaka's going to show Sanji and the gang? So at this point, I'm going to be leaning on something that you can actually touch and or see. And what I mean by that is, I don't think it's going to be just knowledge. If it was just knowledge, Vegapunk would share that with them, right then and there. This is something that they have to see with their own eyes. And if it's something they have to see with their own eyes, it's going to be a reveal to us as the viewer, which means that this has to be something from the Void Century. And or, like I said in the reaction stream, maybe it's the original piece of the ancient civilization that made him start this journey to begin with. Maybe he found something while excavating whatever, and he found like a robot hand or something, right, from the past that made him think like, wait a minute, what is this? And so I feel like what we're about to see is like extreme ancient tech, which is also futuristic tech, but it's probably going to be like in some sort of like Bruce Wayne glass case, right, or something. That's what I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be something very special to Vegapunk that could potentially have propelled him to get to where we are now. That's my theory on what they're going to see, because if it was just information, if it was something that you could take, like portable, he would have shown it to them there. But the fact that we have to go into a room means that this thing's either big or it's inside of like a case or something, right? So exciting stuff there. It might be ancient kingdom technology. Absolutely. I agree with you on that. It might be his research on Smile and artificial devil fruits. Now, if that is the case, I wish Zoro would have been here to see it. You know what I mean? Like, even though the characters they're going to be able to relay that information later to him, but as Zoro was connected to the whole artificial smile fruit thing, I wish that he would have been the one, or we could flash back to it, right? We never got to see the end of that conversation. So yeah, actually, I could see that being one of them. And also might reveal the relation between Dragon, Garp, and Vegapunk. Are SSG and Sword working together? Dragon hates the world government, and so I think he rejected Garp, which led to Garp forcing Luffy to join the Marines. If Vegapunk is a good guy, for me, Vegapunk, I think based on what we saw in the flashback, Vegapunk is most certainly a neutral individual who, just like the other characters in this series that we've seen that are highly ambitious, they value their own ambitions over what is the quote-unquote, like, the morality scale, right? Like, whatever it takes to be able to achieve what they want to achieve, they will break the good and bad scale in whatever they need to do. So he's a very gray character. Almost as he almost said, there are some good people in the Navy. So huge possibility of Sword and SSG working together. BA thought regarding the space-time rift was Vegapunk trying to create Toki's time fruit in the opposite way to visit the ancient kingdom himself. That's interesting. So he was trying to use quantum mechanics to travel back in time and use something like the Toki no Mi in order to do that. Now, I wonder if, like you said, I wonder if he knows whether the Tokidoki no Mi exists and the limitations of the Tokidoki no Mi, that you can only go forward in time. And so I would actually love to see him talk about that, like quantum physics within the One Piece verse. I think that'd be super, super cool. Super, super cool. Another interesting thing, if Hadrodim was a giant who was fishing in the books, yeah, that is looking to be a very likely possibility, Super, just based on what he looked like, right? That means Kid might go to him and search for the man with the burnt mark, as I think Kid doesn't know that Saul is that man. He knows his location is Elbaf. On the other side, Shanks versus Bartolomeo is going on. Are both of them going to take place on Elbaf? Will the Grand Fleet call for Luffy, which will lead us to next Elbaf? What do you think? At this point, if that does happen, Elbaf has the potential. If everything we're saying, you know, Kid, Shanks, big Usopp moments, Robin and Saul's reunion, all this stuff taking place in Elbaf. Elbaf is going to be a long arc, man. It's going to be a long one. And by a long one, I mean this is bare minimum 30 to 60. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be one of those, because a bare minimum 30 was like a Marineford length arc, right? Bare minimum. With all of this stuff happening. And then 60, of course, being like your Skypias, your Fishman Islands, right? It's for me, with everything that's cooking, it's got to be a major, major story arc. If all of this stuff's going to be popping off in Elbaf. So, if the Grand Fleet is going to be how we transition from this arc to the next one, just to add another layer of insanity to what is already based on this chapter going to be an incredible arc, man, hope you enjoy the thoughts. Love the thoughts, Subra. Like every week, another big message. Nah, I appreciate it, man. Get well soon from your peg, let go. And it's getting better. It's getting better, thankfully. But yo, great comments, Subra. I'm excited. I mean, if this chapter doesn't get you hyped for Elbaf, I don't know what will. And the chapter, that's what it does, right? It's like, it's hyping you up. It's setting up the alley-oop for Elbaf to just catch it and just bring it down. You know what I mean? It's going to be crazy. But your comment on Vegapunk trying to create Toki's time fruit, like an artificial fruit, is so interesting. And then having to resort to quantum mechanics. I like it. I like it. I love that theory. That's it's right in the realm of possibility. And then this could lead us into the origin of fruits soon as well. Actually, could that be what Vegapunk's about to show Robin and them? Like maybe the first fruit he ever found, or a piece of the Tree of Eden? Because then that would connect it to Frankie. We believe that Frankie's going to he already used some of that to create the Sunny, but whatever. All right, that's very interesting though. Very interesting. So thank you, Subra. I appreciate you. Next comment comes in from OMG. Shout out to OMG, yo. At first I thought Luffy would prevent Vegapunk from dying this arc, but now I think it's the opposite. Vegapunk will die here to find out about what's written in the books. The crew will head for Elbaf. We never really had a reason to go there, but now we do. Can't wait for the Robin Saw reunion. That Robin Saw reunion is going to hit so hard. It's going to hit on levels that none of us are ready for. If this chapter had us already on the verge of tears, there were some manly tears, right, that were dropped. Imagine how we're going to feel when that actual reunion takes place in Elbaf. Yo, that could be the arc of reunions. Luffy and Shanks reuniting. Oh, and then if all of that happens in one arc, Elbaf is gonna be. Oh. So your comment on Vegapunk dying in this arc, Kev DOG, shout out to my boy Kev DOG. He sold me with his Vegapunk theory video that Vegapunk will die in this arc, and ever since then, that's been a belief of mine. And so now with every single chapter that we get, we find out more about Vegapunk. We find out more about the limitations of his body, how much he's trying to do because of the limited time that he has on this planet. We know that he's getting much older. So it's like, at this point, it most certainly does look like he's going to die at the end of this arc. And it's going to be something that's going to impact us all. But now that he's shared all of this information with our crew, we're going to be able to carry on not only the will of O'Hara, but the will of Vegapunk as well. So it's once again just inheriting wills as we continue on this journey toward Laugh Tale. And I wonder, because remember what Rayleigh said, right? Like, we'll become to a different answer than us. And I'm going to assume Roger and them, they probably never met Vegapunk, or maybe they did. But if they didn't, then this is going to be something unique to our journey, that we met Vegapunk on the way to Laugh-Tale, right? Like, we met this individual that would change how we viewed everything, right? That would change our perspective. And a bit before his death. Now, how that death comes to take place, we have no idea. But I'm right there with you in regards to Vegapunk is more than likely going to die at the end of this arc. And then, of course, like you said, to find out about what's written in the books, our next destination will be Elbaf. Or, like Subra said, something with the Grand Fleet happens to where we have to make our way over there. So, one of the two, or both. But regardless, we know we have to go to Elbaf, because now there's a major reason, outside of Luffy just wanting to go there for adventure, outside of Usopp obviously wanting to go meet with the boys, this is going to be the opportunity for us to go into the true library of knowledge over there, right? And see what's popping. So, for sure. OMG, thank you so much for the comment. Right there with you in regards to Vegapunk, 110%. Next comment comes in from Numair. Shout out to Numair once again with that Leonhardt the Blade Lord profile picture. Aokiji was absolutely cooking something by leaving Saul alive, man. I just simply can't wait to see how everything unfortunately between Robin, Saul, and Aokiji. So, in regards to your comment, Namer, you know, in comparison to Michael Michaels talking about how it might have been something that Aokiji he actually thought Saul died, but it was the Buster Call that actually kept him alive, right? The very same thing that thought would destroy everything actually managed to keep someone alive. If Aokiji actually did both, either way, it's good for Aokiji's character, because if he actually intended on killing Saul, it goes to show how much he, his loyalty to the Marines, his loyalty to his own sense of justice, right? In the fact that he would actually kill one of his friends in order to uphold that, in the same arc that we see Akainu upholding his own in his own twisted way. Either it would be that, like Michael Michaels said, or B, where he lets Saul live because of his own sense of justice, right? Where Ice Time Capsule would unravel itself eventually. And so, if that's the case, either way, I love what we're doing here with Aokiji's character. Whether we explore it from him having to also take life in the same way Akainu did in the flashback, or whether he came to a different decision than Akainu based on his own sense of justice. Either way, it leads to their conflict with each other, right? So, for me, it works either way. And I'm looking forward to seeing Oda's answer to all of this, especially with the Marked by Flames element, right? So, definitely thank you for that, Namer, no doubt. Next comment comes in from Jesus Vermillion, the Mereo Leona enjoyer. And shout out to Mereo Leona in Black Clover, man. A goat. Dragon's tattoo keeps... Oh, comment about Dragon's tattoo. Let's flip it, bro. It's all me. This is all me. Dragon's tattoo keeps bothering me because I just can't seem to make a good theory on it. Oh, I got you. I was thinking maybe it's some sort of crew symbol. Let's say Joy Boy's crew flag had a symbol on it. Maybe it has something to do with the One Piece treasure itself. In any case, I'm now convinced that it has something to do with the boy's sentry due to him not having the tattoo in Ohara flashback. Let me tell you something, Jesus. I've been saying this since the chapter 1018. The episode that is going to air today. Yesterday, since I'm going to upload this on Sunday. Ever since the Nika reveal, I strongly believe, especially with what we saw in Skypiea with their facial markings as well, my belief is that either this symbol that Dragon has on his face, it was also on Nika's face, or like you said, it was his crew symbol. It's something directly connected to Nika, because when you think about it, Nika freeing the slaves and being the symbol of freedom to this very day, the universal symbol of freedom. And what better way, right? If Dragon knows about Instant Messenger Sama's existence, what better declaration of war is there than to rock the same symbol, regardless of what it is, as Nika to Instant Messenger Sama? Because let's just say, hypothetical argument, what we believe to be the case, that Nika, Joy Boy, directly opposed Instant Messenger Sama. And in order for Instant Messenger Sama to gain the upper hand, or whatever it was that happened back then, the universe reset to where it is now, and now he's the ruler of the world, right? And then Joy Boy tragically, his tale probably comes to like a tragic end, right? Waiting for somebody to carry his will all of those years later. So if that is to be the case, then this mark that Dragon has to represent something that would just strike instant Messenger Sama's heart. And what better way than the symbol of the individual who was the symbol of freedom back then in Nika, right? And I think that would connect father and son in their own different ways, right? Where Luffy's fighting for freedom in his own way, and Dragon, of course, is doing it in order to uphold the bigger picture, right? And so I really hope that's the case. I really hope that on either Nika's face, or like you said, as a pirate flag, or as the crew symbol, or whatever it is, that this mark that we're seeing has some sort of relation to Nika, because it would just make too much sense. And so that's been my belief, and I'm going to stick with that as we continue going through the series itself, man. So thank you for that, Jesus. No doubt. Yeah, the tattoo on Dragon's face is so interesting. So interesting, because it's such a... It's like the detail for Monkey D. Dragon, right? So next comment comes in from James Whittock, who says, now that we have a path possibly taking the straws to Elbaf, do you think that is where we will see Big Mom again? Keep up the awesome energy, dude. Love it. I appreciate you, James. So is that where we're going to see Big Mom again? Like I said before, if Big Mom also pops up on Elbaf, that is going to be a major... I mean, we already knew it was going to be a major arc, but that might dispel all, like, this is going to be a short arc type of stuff, right? Y'all, Big Mom, potentially Shanks, potentially... Excuse me... Kid, like these are going to be major players in one arc. If Big Mom is there too, because obviously we all thought we would see Big Mom again just based on her flashback taking place within Elbaf, but by the Flagnarts, if all those characters are in one place, the final saga is going to be firing on all cylinders during that arc, man. And so if that is where we see Big Mom again, I'm down for it. I'm down for it because obviously it's where she's from. It's going to be very important, very integral to her arc. It might even be where she goes down officially, right? Like, even though she's already gone down, quote unquote, that might be like the end of Big Mom there at Elbaf, right? So we'll definitely have to see what happens there. I would love to have the Big Mom Pirates show up, right? Just for Kata Curry. Can you imagine that's also the same arc with Luffy and Kata Curry are working together? Oh, that'd be peak fiction. Peak fiction. So most certainly it looks to be the case, right? If we don't see Big Mom moving anytime soon, then what better time for her to pop up than to be in Elbaf? God, man. Elbaf hype, man. Just talk about Elbaf hype, dude. Thank you, that. I appreciate you, James. Next comment comes from Kev DOG. Speaking of Kev, man, my theory is absolutely struggling, but that's nothing when we think about the greatness that was this chapter. I'm curious what your thoughts are on Saul being the man marked by flames. For me, based on Michael Minkle's comment, I think it's pretty much guaranteed at this point. And if it's... The reason why I say that is because when we look back at that chapter where the concept of the man marked by flames was introduced, Robin's reaction, the state of confusion, specifically Oda like centering in on Robin's reaction, it meant that this had a connection to Robin to begin with in Oda's mind. And so to now know it's Saul, it just makes so much sense. Like, it has to be the man marked by flames. When Kid first mentioned them, Robin was showing confused, so I definitely think this is possible. Plus, Kid is heading to Elbaf on the map where Saul is. One of my favorite chapters ever. Keep up the One Piece greatness. Dude, this chapter was special, man. And don't worry about your theory absolutely struggling, dog. This is peak. This is absolutely incredible, right? Like, it's just one of those things when it comes to Oda breaking ankles. Like, it's what it is. It's what makes the theory crafting stuff so much fun, because you already know Oda's just gonna do his thing and go up and like swimwear. But definitely, I do believe Saul is the man marked by flames, especially like you said in regards to the focus on Robin in that particular chapter when that was brought up. So now having this context is like, oh, that makes so much sense. So thank you, Kev, man. Next one comes in from Brandon King. So it's an interesting detail about Vegapunk you probably know is that his design is based on Einstein, no doubt, but you may not know that after his death, Einstein's brain was split into many pieces. I did not know that. Some were sent to places to be studied. Others put in a museum. If Vegapunk literally split his brain into 600 pieces, then this is definitely an inspiration. Wow. So I'm sure that Oda must have pulled up the document or like something on Einstein, and he was like, "Yo, after death, Einstein's brain was split into multiple pieces." That is super cool, Brandon King. I actually did not know that about Einstein's brain. That is, and thank you for that, dude. I like it's those types of details that just really go to show Oda's level of research when it comes to, it goes beyond just the normal level of research, or I should say normal level of understanding for a person like this. Like, we all know Einstein, obviously, but that's not common knowledge, right? For Einstein to, after his death, his brain was split into multiple pieces, and then putting that into the way that he's done into the story, it just goes to show his creativity. So thank you for that, Brandon, man. Next comment comes in from Mugsby. This chapter has so much in the latter half when they start talking about the Ohara incident that a line at the beginning is being overshadowed. Recon, what do you think the machinery they are referring to at the beginning is? Do you think that is what Vegapunk wants to show them? If possible, he wants to show them a poneglyph, but personally, I'm attached to the wording used at a certain site. I assume Ohara machinery was excavated. Then Robin says, are you saying that machinery was from the Void Century? Which Nami responds with, do you know something about this? It makes you feel like this machinery is more important, and maybe Robin saw it when she would spy on the basement that Clover said not to go into, using her fruit to spawn eyes. Mugsby, I love this comment. So when we look back at volume 41, specifically in the Robin flashback, this is where we first found out a few different things about the One Piece world at large. This is the first time we saw the One Piece world at 6 moons, and when we started really figuring out about the Void Century stuff, very important things to the overall world of One Piece. So we remembered how Clover specifically was like, yo, not the basement. And knowing how Oda is inspired by so many different things, we know that, of course, Attack on Titan, it's basement stuff, right? How cool would it be if Vegapunk excavating this from the basement reveals a piece of machinery from the past that Robin saw but was unable to provide context for? Or maybe she had an idea but was like, what is it? So now we're going to see that piece of machinery that was excavated from Ohara thanks to Clover that we found maybe on his expeditions as an archaeologist. And now this is what Vegapunk's going to present to... Oh, I love that, Mugsby. I love that, man. And that would be the piece of machinery from the past, and potentially one of the pieces of machinery that continued his research to this day. Yo, I really love that comment, man. I love it. And I think that, like you said, it would connect us back to the Robin flashback once more. And like, man, Robin like saw something that she shouldn't have seen. And I spent all of these years like, I wonder what that was. But now with this context, with this knowledge, thanks to Vegapunk, it makes sense. And it's like Clover knowing. It's like, how in the world did Clover and them find out there were 6 moons within the, like, you know what I mean? Like they knew so much about the world itself was stashed away in Ohara. And man, so regardless, Mugsby, great comment, man. Great stuff. I'm right there with you. I think that would be a wonderful thing to showcase, and once again, a way for us to transition and continue to place even more importance on the Robin flashback. So thank you for that. Next comment comes in from Prey Taurus and says, it's one of the most divisive chapters in the series, particularly over Saul being alive. What do you make of it as a writing decision for all those who think it ruins Robin's flashback in the same way as Pell and Pound? Personally, I think it's totally different from the Will of P because Saul is actually going to have a major impact on the story going forward. So what does take away from the tragedy of Robin's past a little bit is exchanging it for hope in Robin's future. Seeing an old Saul with all his burn scars visiting the new library of Ohara will reread make Robin's flashback even better for me, especially with the scholar's poetic victory and death. That being said, Oda has some explaining to do on how he survived and why Dragon didn't tell Robin. My question to anyone who believes that Saul being alive takes away from Robin's flashback is, does Sabo being alive take away from Ace's death? And if your answer is no, then why would Saul being alive take away from Robin's flashback? We have to look at it from Robin's perspective. The events of Enies Lobby and Robin's flashback is all from Robin's perspective. So to her, after she saw what happened to Saul, after Nico Olvia was taken from her, after everyone that she knew was taken from her in O'Hara, she lived a life of solitude, attempting to survive until she met the Straw Hats. None of that changes. None of that changes. So, for me, the only thing that this Saul situation does for the Robin flashback, or just for Robin's character in general, is it's just going to serve to elevate it. Because, ladies and gentlemen, like I said earlier, if Michael Mickles is right, and we have a scenario where the Buster Call is the reason why Saul is alive, then it's going to go back to exactly what I was talking about earlier in regards to the consequences of this Robin flashback. Let me talk about the consequences of this Robin flashback real quick, because they are huge. Ladies and gentlemen, the destruction of O'Hara is the reason why the Revolutionary Army is the way that it is right now. It's the reason why Vegapunk is going in like swimwear as he is at this point in time. It is the reason why Robin was able to meet up with the Straw Hats and is going to lead us all the way towards Laughtail. And then last but not least, they're called to kill Clover. Just them wanting to kill Clover and to stop him from stating the name of the ancient kingdom and then blowing up O'Hara after that with a Buster Call would lead to this man Saul actually living to tell the tale to another day. That would imply that the Gorosei and their fear of individuals learning about the Void Century is gonna come back literally within this final saga to bite them where the sun doesn't shine in every regard. Thanks to the creation of the Revolutionary Army, thanks to Robin's existence, thanks to now us being able to gain all this knowledge, either by Vegapunk or by Saul later on in Elbaf, and last but not least, the Straw Hats' connection to Robin, man. Like, dude, the fact that all of this connects to the O'Hara incident, to me only serves to elevate the flashback. It only serves. Because like I said before, everything that Robin already went through, she went through. That cannot be taken back until this chapter. This would mean that, how old is Robin? 28, 29? For 20-something years, Robin believed that she was the last person left from this island. That does not change. In the slightest. Which would mean now when we go back to O'Hara, and I'm talking about this right now as we are, right? Like, going back to the Robin flashback. As we are right now, it's already goated. It's already goated. Even with the reveal that Saul is alive, none of it changes. And the I want to live scene, oh my, don't even get me started. So if all of that, if that is still goated, when we get to Elbaf and we get to find out everything that the people of O'Hara died to ensure that it lived on, that the will of O'Hara lives on, and then we see exactly what happened through Saul's perspective, because the one part that I'm iffy on in regards to Saul being alive is, why didn't Saul go out to seek Robin? If Saul stated the legendary words that resonate in chapter 398, which are, you're going to be able to find people out there, like, no one in this world is born to die alone, right? Like, no one in this world is born to be alone. Continue searching out there, because eventually you will come across people that are going to accept you for who you are and are going to love you for who you are, right? A powerful, beautiful message, especially for what Nico Robin was going through at the time. And it leads into the I Want to Live scene, and it's just peak fiction. But that, for me, is the iffy part, where it's like, why in the world would Saul say that and not go out and try to find Robin? So for me, perhaps the Buster, like, this is just me in my own head canon. This is why I want to see Saul whenever we get there, because I want to know why it is that he never sought her out. Let's just say that Saul has been disabled to the point to where he cannot leave that library room, to where he is stuck there. He's in a wheelchair, he cannot move. This is an individual who is stuck to that library, or stuck to Elbaf, because he just can't move. The incident was far too great. Either it was due to trauma or whatever it is. After what happened there, I don't know. I have no idea what the reasons for it that Saul didn't go out to go with Robin. But for me, That is the only part where I'm like, we need answers on that. But everything else? Robin's flashback? What? Dude, Robin's flashback as the series progresses and we find out more about the Ancient Kingdom and we find out more about what it is the Gorosei were trying their absolute hardest to hide. And then that's just in terms of the overall story and the bigger picture. If we're talking about just Nico Robin, nothing is going to change what happened there. You know what I mean? Like the fact remains that she lost absolutely everyone and believed that everyone was gone until she met the Straw Hats. That fact remains. That doesn't change. You know what I mean? Because she already lived it. You cannot take away what somebody has lived. And so once again, I go back to the Sabo thing in regards to, and even though that happened after Ace's death, it doesn't take away from the fact that when we look back on it with context, we see the fact that Luffy at that point in time believed that he had lost both of his brothers, that he was all alone. In the same way that Robin believed that she lost everyone. And then Luffy would later on see Sabo. It doesn't take away from the fact that Ace died. And in Robin's case, it's like it doesn't take away from the fact that Clover, everyone else in Ohara, and her mom died. So it's like Saul being alive, sure. My dog's alive. She didn't know. So for me, it doesn't take away. Personally, it does not take away. It's just there's two things, right? It's the Revolutionary Army thing and how Kuma sent Robin over to meet with Dragon. I want to see what happened there, right? Like, did they have any conversation on that? Because Dragon's a very secretive person. Obviously, Dragon kept so many things from everyone. Continues to keep things from everyone. So maybe he just didn't bring it up to Robin, as he doesn't bring up stuff to Ivankov or anyone else. So he's probably just being Dragon, as always. But with Saul, I'm very curious on why Saul didn't go out to find Robin. That's the one part where I'm like, we need an explanation for that. And it's probably going to go towards what Michael Mickles said earlier in regards to the Buster Call, Man Bright Flames, and someone who is probably just stuck on Elbaf, right, for one reason or another. So that's my thoughts on that, Praetorius. But thank you for that comment. I most certainly appreciate you. The next comment comes in from Coran Brown. Shout out to Coran Brown. It says, so do you think Tom is alive after finding out Saul is? I don't think so. I don't think Tom is, unless Tom is going to serve a purpose, because, another thing about Saul, right, is that Saul, he's probably going to serve a grander purpose as being a part of the D family, a member of the Giants, and stuff of that nature. He probably has an even greater purpose to serve above what he did within the flashback itself. That's something that remains to be seen, right? In Tom's case, I feel like what he was doing, the purpose that he had to serve, it felt like it was already fulfilled in regards to creating the Oro Jackson, instilling these beliefs within someone like Frankie, and now Frankie's going to inherit that will into the future. And so if Tom is still alive, then hey, we'll see if that happens later on down the line. But it looks like his purpose was already served, right? A lot of the flashback characters, their purpose was already served. So like somebody like a Here to Look, Corazon, Bellamere, Tom, all these characters, their purpose was served. You know, their purpose was served, and their will was inherited by the person in which they impacted. So for me, I don't think Tom is alive, personally. And that's just my take on it, because it does believe that what he already did, you know, creating the Oro Jackson, instilling those beliefs in Frankie, it looks like he's going to remain dead. But if something like that pops up down the line, then we're going to have to see what happens, right? The way it's executed, obviously, is going to be the most important part, but we'll see what happens. Obviously, it's One Piece. Characters don't die that often, but flashback characters, unless special circumstances, they normally do remain dead. So we'll see what happens there, Koran, but I appreciate you for the comment, yo. The next comment comes in from Plutonian Moon. Shout out to Pluto. It says, after this chapter, how do you think the remaining arcs will be structured? I still have the same belief, Pluto. It is going to be a Paramount War saga type of structure, where it's going to, from Egghead Island, it's just going to continue on this chaotic spiral to, Elbaf potentially after this, and then after that it'll be maybe like a breather arc, then Lodestar taking us into Laugh-Tale, and Laugh-Tale after that, Final War, and all of that insanity, right? So I still do believe that it's going to be structured like a 5-arc type thing, all of different shapes and sizes, with the final one being where everything culminates towards is going to be the final war. And so, the one thing I'm curious about is the length of each arc, right? Because I know the way Oda wants to tell the saga. Oda's going to tell the saga similarly to the Paramount War saga, like I said before. But I just wonder the length, because Egghead, we still don't know how long this arc's going to be. We're getting a lot of information quick, so it looks like Egghead Island might actually be a short arc. But going from this arc afterwards, if Elbaf is like 60 chapters, the following arc will it be 30? Then the arc after that, whenever we go to Lodestar. Lodestar appears to be just the island where we get the poneglyphs, and then we head off into Laugh-Tale. Does that mean Lodestar is going to be a transitional arc as well? It's like it's very interesting, and I'm curious on how Oda's going to handle all of this within the final saga, because he does have a lot of stuff to tell, and we already see him interweaving the outside of events with what's happening within the story itself. And so, just for me, from an arc standpoint, that's the way I would see it. So, once again, it would be, right now we're on Egghead Island. From Egghead, we would go to Elbaf, if that is the next island. And we go directly from Egghead to Elbaf. From Elbaf, we go on the way to Lodestar. And perhaps on the way to Lodestar, barring whatever happens, maybe we get another, adventure or whatever it is on the way there. But then once we get to Lodestar, it feels like Lodestar will be like bam, bam, bam. Like Lodestar, Laugh-Tale, and Final War. At least that's the way I see it. So 5-6 arc structure, all of differing shapes and sizes. That's the way that I see it going, Pluto. But thank you, yo. I appreciate you. Let's read a few more right here. Goat Luffy 97 says, initially when I saw Vegapunk in the flashback, I thought it was Im. Yo, you're not the first person who said this, bro. It's crazy how all of us are like, yo. And then OMG within the stream was like, yeah. Like, imagine now if the crown on Im's head isn't a crown, but it's actually Instant Master Sama's head. It's like, yo, it's a possibility now, right? I don't think that was a mere coincidence. We've been building up Im as the super villain and possibly the final villain. What if Im actually looks like Vegapunk did in the flashback? Whenever Luffy sees Im, he actually laughs, a la hearing Pika speak. That would be peak Oda comedy gold. Oda did say at the beginning of this arc, or at the beginning of this saga, that not Instant Master Sama, that flippin', he's gonna have the most fun possible with One Piece here in the end. So if Im Sama is used for comedic purposes, I am all down for that. Because every One Piece character needs to have their funny side, right? But as long as Instant Master Sama remains the savage, cold-blooded killer that we've seen him being up until this point, I don't care what he looks like. As long as his intentions remain what they are, this is a fantastic villain in the making. And so, based on Chapter 1060, it's exciting. And then, like I said before, with Chapter 908, with the butterflies, this is an individual that obviously values some sort of life. While also you see just being able to destroy life in an instant as well. And so how that is going to be balanced, it doesn't matter what he looks like or she looks like. This is going to be a character that is going to be extremely, extremely important. But that comedic moment would be so gold, if that is the case, right? So most certainly Gold Luffy 97, man. I appreciate you. Next one comes in from Ignacio Allen. It says, is the will of D intertwined with the will of Ohara? Should we expect the D to have a connection to the inhabitants of the ancient kingdom? PD, keep up the great content. I appreciate you. So, I believe so. The will of D, obviously. The D, you're going to cause a storm. What exactly is the D? Robin has been trying to figure this out for a long time, and it does look the closer we find out what the will of D is, it does feel like Ohara is going to be around the same line, right? They were considered devils by the world, right? And we know, enemies of the gods and stuff of that nature. So it does look like they were what they were doing is something that in a similar way as the D family, it was probably what led to their demise, right? What they were doing, what they were attempting to uncover back then in the Void Century, and then now with Ohara. In order to get that truth out, they potentially, did everything that they could, and then they ended up dying for it. But I don't think it'll be exactly the same thing, but like you said, the connection to the inhabitants of the ancient kingdom, absolutely. So, on your first question, intertwined with the will of Ohara, I believe so. I believe that's 110%. Should we expect the D to have a connection to the inhabitants of the ancient kingdom? 100,000,000%. I feel like it's that from the moment that we were introduced to Luffy, we had our first connection to the Void Century with the D family, right? Now we just gotta find somebody else from back then who carries the D name. You know what I mean? Like, because we've already seen so many characters in the series itself, but obviously the D is extremely important. And the more we go into the series itself, especially with somebody like Robin who is so interested in it, then we know that it's going to be extremely, extremely important and integral to the Voice Century stuff. So we'll see what happens there, but I think 110% for them having a connection to the inhabitants of the Ancient Kingdom. But intertwined with the will of O'Hara looks to be the case. And that's, of course, the will of D coming first, and the will of and then O'Hara attempting to carry that will into the future. You know what I mean? Like in their own way. Because, of course, they were scholars. So thank you for that, yo. M-Sphere, shout out to M-Sphere, says, no big theory, but want to say a few things. Given the fact that Saul is fine, Kuma will be back. I'm 10,000% sure. Yo, Kuma, let's go, baby. Especially after that flashback, we're all going to be rooting for Kuma, man. Wait until we get this Kuma flashback, man. Wait until we get this Kuma flashback. As I said before, Dragon has to move this arc. He truly cannot lose Vegapunk to some assassins. Hope you're doing great, fam. So on your Dragon comment, I'm 50-50. Because, of course, at this point in time, Dragon has a lot to deal with. Sabo has just been annihilated, supposedly, right, by Instant Messenger Sama. We still believe Sabo's alive, obviously. But, or at least I believe Sabo's alive. So, if Instant Messenger Sama came in, he knows, right? Dragon now knows. If he didn't already know the existence of Im, now he most certainly knows the existence of Im. So now he's in a dilemma, right? Now, the Revolutionary Army has already declared war on the Celestial Dragons. So it's like, what do I do now? Do I attempt to go save Vegapunk? Or do I directly go right now while the Seraphims have been deployed and while the Admirals are going up in like somewhere? Is this my chance now to strike at the heart of the Marijoa or to go in, right? It all depends on Dragon and his call. What is Dragon going to do in the midst of all the insanity happening around the world? I would love for Dragon to show up, because what better way to start the final saga than for a meeting between Dragon and Luffy to happen at this point in time? Because for me, I would want Dragon and Luffy to meet before Luffy and Shanks met, personally. But if Luffy and Shanks meet before Dragon and Luffy meet, I'm cool with that too. But we'll see what happens there with Dragon. Because Dragon's very iffy. Obviously, we never know when it comes to Dragon. We don't know how far he is as well, because we don't know how long we're going to be here either. So depending on all of that is how... Because Dragon has a lot on his plate right now. So we'll have to see what happens there, M-Sphere, but we'll see. We'll see what happens in that regard. But I'm right there with you. It's like he can't afford to lose Vegapunk, but with everything he's dealing with right now, it's like, what can he do? What can he do? Does he leave his post, leave everything up to them while he by himself goes to Egghead, or does he send some people to Egghead? Right? Like, what would Vegapunk do for his friends? We know, not Vegapunk, Dragon. We know how much he values the people that's under him. So what is he willing to do when his right-hand man has currently been sunk to oblivion, right, thanks to Instant Messenger Sama? What does he do? You know, right now he's like stuck between several different things. So I wonder, and I would love to see Dragon's internal conflict play out with that. Will we see it? That remains to be seen. But I appreciate you, M-Sphere, man. And that is it for today, man. Holy flagnards, a lot of great comments this week. I appreciate y'all for stopping by and laying down the greatness, even more than whenever we streamed, right? Like in the stream itself, we had some incredible conversations, and now in the Afterthoughts, y'all brought some heat as well, man. So it's been a great week just discussing the One Piece greatness. Like I said earlier, by the time this goes up, we would have already watched it, but tonight is the Nika episode. So speaking of lore piece at its finest, anime onlys are finally going to be able to see the reveal of Nika and all of that stuff. So that's going to be so much fun to see how anime onlys react to that. And of course, we're going to finally be able to see some anime only content in that regard as well. So, but this has been the Afterthoughts, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. Lore piece greatness is firing on all cylinders. The fact that we did not go on break after this most recent chapter is crazy to me. That just goes to show this next chapter has even more insanity in store for us. So I will see y'all next time. Have an awesome sauce of a day. And like I said, this is going to be going up tomorrow. So I will see y'all. It's just, this chapter was so good, man. It's Robin, right? It's Dragon, it's Vegapunk, it's Saul. It's like, come on, man. It's the Ancient Kingdom. Like, bro, insanity, son.